Hello, everybody. It is the Dark Conservatarian, and welcome back to Strike Force. Originally, this was going to be an interview edition of Strike Force, but unfortunately, my guest, that being Esoteric Entity or Esoteric the Free, as he is going by nowadays. But yeah, originally I was supposed to be interviewing him, but he says that he is going to be unavailable for the time slot that we had filled out, so that's being pushed forward. But for right now, instead, I give you a news stream. But
Right.
yeah, so
Isn't the world full of wonderful news?
There's
lots of news out there.
Is. But anyway, yeah. So I am joined with me today, Loudmouth here. So say hi.
Yeah.
But opening up with the news, I have one that was shared by the incredible Aspie. Hopefully he can join on. It's been a while since he joined on, actually.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, guy's been busy with both work and college, is what I hear.
Yeah.
Which I can't blame him. I mean, my work has really slowed down my uploading and editing time, which I am almost done with my part of the collab response video, just to reassure you, Loudmouth. I'm sorry, but I feel like I'm deserving of having Rotten Tomatoes thrown at me right now because of how much procrastination I've been taking on that.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of am indifferent. I just kind of like whatever.
All right. But anyway, so to everyone else out there, opening up with the news, I have this one article that, as I was saying, was shared by Aspie. And I said that I would read this on Strike Force to get our reactions, our fresh reactions from it. This from the Washington Times. Sheriff, mom killed 11-year-old to keep her from having sex.
I don't like this story.
Yeah.
The story is kind of bad.
Yeah.
This is bad.
It's
yeah.
No other news, grass is green.
Yeah.
And I also have a whole bunch of other articles here too. This one actually it's quite a lengthy one. This one is.
Yeah,
I'll probably save that and just read it on my own time, actually, now that I think about it. But some election news, some 2020 election news, and then this one article that I've been keep saving recently. White liberals present themselves as less competent in interactions with African Americans, which is kind of funny because there was a dialogue that I had with some people on Nate the Voluntarist's live stream where one of the co-hosts on that stream was all like, all these people who would be race baiting on the issue of race, I bet they haven't like hung out with a single black person, which is funny. But yeah. So anyway, getting on with this outrageous piece of crap right here. So again, this is Washington Times, so we will take it with a grain of salt. They actually say that it's more specifically by Associated Press. I guess Washington Times is just reposting it or something. I don't know. Orlando, Florida, AP. A woman accused of stabbing her daughter to death told investigators she killed the 11-year-old to keep her from having sex, authorities in Florida said. Wow. And seemingly off the surface, not a hesitation to deny those accusations. What are you saying?
Yeah, this article is kind of making me sick. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's making me sick too.
What the fuck is wrong with some people?
I don't know. You just have those psychos out there.
Really?
Rose Alcides Rivera, 28, pulled up to a hospital in Orlando asking for help for her daughter. What the fuck? Asking for help for her daughter on Sunday morning.
Her 11-year-old daughter, she gets pulled up and asked her for help. What is going on here? This article can't be real.
No, but it's from the Associated Press, so I can only imagine that this article is serious. I mean, it's not like it's from the Onion. And by the way, the last article,
if it's just from the Onion, I don't see the joke here.
Yeah. But there was an article. You remember the last news stream that I had on and you joined on briefly, and I was reading an article from the Federalist talking about how somebody was
that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, aborting their kid because the possibility of them being gay. Apparently, that article was satire.
You
You
stepped in it, dude. You really did. That is like the ultimate egg in your face, dude.
Yeah. So for everybody who is
the rotten eggs from here, dude.
So to everybody who might watch this stream in the future and was invested in that news stream while I was reading that article with me, sorry, but I bit the bait. So
yeah, I figured that article had to be bullshit because it didn't really make any sense. How the hell can you tell if a fetus is gay or not?
Right, but
it made no sense.
So connecting that to this article right here, the point that I was trying to make is that I do not see any annotations that this is satire. So yeah, this is probably real.
I don't. It's just a terrible story. And I know shit like this does happen, so I'm not like denying it or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just it's so disturbing.
So anyway, rereading that half sentence right there because it just made me go, what the fuck? Rose Alcides Rivera, 28, pulled up to a hospital in Orlando asking for help for her daughter on Sunday morning. I'm just thinking to myself, wait, what the fuck? Mind blown. Like, you originally killed your own daughter, wounded her, and then you are going to go out of the way to get medical help for her at the same time. Cognitive dissonance much? What? Wait, what?
To cover her tracks. A lot of killers actually do that.
To cover she ain't doing a very good job if she is like telling investigators that she killed the 11-year-old to keep her from having sex. Also going to a hospital, like if I would think that if some psychopath really wanted to cover their tracks, they would have just buried the body in like the back.
You think, but a lot of killers are kind of stupid.
Especially this one. Hunter Chopin is in the chat. What about the Finnish country collapsing on Friday? Finnish country. I haven't heard of that story of Finland collapsing or anything like that. I mean, if that's a thing, well then I link it in the chat or something. I might read it. Holy shit, is this woman an idiot? Obviously, yes.
Well, yeah, obviously a psycho fucking idiot, yeah.
Yep. Anyway, but the girl was already dead from multiple stab wounds. I could imagine. I could definitely imagine. 11-year-old. She'd be lucky if she could survive one stab wound. But multiple stab wounds at that age, yeah, no. Sheriff's investigators said, then they say Rivera pulled a knife on hospital workers before being arrested. She later told investigators she killed her daughter to prevent her from having sex with men. Authorities said she is charged with first-degree murder and the death of Elaide Rivera. Okay, that is fucking dumb right there. Because I would think that the solution that you take to that is that you teach your daughter.
No shit. I mean, what do you even need to explain that?
Apparently, because common sense ain't so common.
Dude, yeah, that's like obvious. All right.
I mean, even most like say religious fundamentalists will at most lock their child away in their room to prevent them from having sex before they ever kill them. Like, this is just some deep end type shit. This is just plain unconventional methods for
this is just
what she's trying to do.
Some crazy psycho bitch doing something insane. What else do you want to say?
Yeah.
There's nothing really to this story, dude. It's just dark and disturbing.
Not really. The mother told first responders, "My baby is gone." Do not. Oh my. Oh. don't you call her your baby. She's not your baby. Maybe physically and literally she's your baby, but for fuck's sake, if you're going to kill her just because you are afraid of her, the plausibility of her having sex or something like that, before you even try to teach her to avoid sex, something tells me that you hate that kid. You don't deserve to have that kid. You don't deserve to even call her your baby. Jeez. The Orlando Sentinel reported the child had 15 stab wounds to her back and a defensive wound on her right arm. Orange County Sheriff's investigators said the incident started early Sunday when the mother took her daughter to the home of a man and accused him of having sex with the child. Witnesses told detectives the child denied having sex with anyone. An arrest report said Rivera first denied stabbing the girl, but eventually admitted to killing her. Okay, so she did not off the bat just say, yeah, I'm the killer. It took a little time, but whatever. Still fucking shitty. Fucking psycho bitch. Rivera stated she stabbed her daughter while in the car, and while stabbing her, she was attempting to make her more comfortable. An investigator wrote in the report, what? While stabbing her, she was attempting to make her more... What the fuck?
Ooh. Let's see. On Twitter, I don't know what Danny Court said, but Undoomed just replied to him. I wonder that I've never heard. Undoomed replied, I never harassed anyone. I've heard plenty of creepy stories about you. Hashtag me too. To Danny Courts. Oh, God. Oh, my God. If it turned out Danny Courts did something creepy, it would be really funny to me.
Probably would not be surprising.
It wouldn't be that surprising, but it would be incredibly funny.
All right. No, I do not want ads, damn it. Come on.
Tough shit if you don't want ads. You get them.
I mean, I like Washington Examiner, but holy shit, they like to shove those ads down your throat. All right.
Yeah.
So from Washington Examiner, talking about the news regarding the 2020 election that is coming up right around the corner. Howard Schultz digs in, says radical left Democrat can't beat Trump. Yeah, and so as everybody knows, Howard Schultz is most likely going to be running as a third-party independent candidate for the presidency, thus probably going to steal off some votes from the Democrats, thus giving more of a chance to Trump to become president again. But and some of the reasoning as to why that he decided to run third party, I've been hearing generally because, yeah, essentially what this article is saying. They're becoming too radical to the left. Close you, pause you. Anyway, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz rejected Democratic complaints that his independent 2020 campaign will guarantee President Trump's re-election. Rejected. Okay. I would have to disagree with that, Howard. I mean, what would you think, Loudmouth? Do you think that there would be an off chance that Democrats could win despite if Howard Schultz become a spoiler for Democrats? Or what's your opinion?
I have no idea. Not even going to predict anything on that.
Well, all right.
I mean, with the Democrats, they could easily beat Trump if they actually pushed a sensible candidate. But the Democrats have gone insane so much the last couple of years that they'll probably push a bunch of extreme policies and alienate the center.
Right.
That could give Trump a second term.
Yeah, they're not even like the most extreme on when it comes to like economics. Well, okay, yeah, no, they are getting there. They are getting there, but they aren't as bad as.
Let's look at some of the shit show the Democrats have done lately. They had a Democrat congresswoman make blatantly anti-Semitic comments, and her party doesn't condemn her. All right, then we have, let's say, Miss Cortez, of course, puts out a press release for a plan that says they'll pay for people unable or unwilling to work. And none of the Democrats denounce her. and a lot of them sign on in support of her Green New Deal that said something that insane. Yeah, it's safe to say the Democrats have gone way over the deep end.
Yeah, and expounding on that point that you just made, Howard Schultz continues and said Democrats themselves will guarantee a Trump victory by nominating a radical left nominee.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I mean, paying for people unwilling to work, that actually makes her to the left of communism. Because even in communism, you still had to fucking work. You just worked for the state.
Oh, yeah.
So she's that far left that even Stalin would be like, no, that's a little too extreme.
Yeah, something along those lines. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. I remember what I was going to say. So essentially, he's not disagreeing with the notion that President Trump might get reelected, but he's just turning that on its head, the claim that Democrats are making about Schultz, saying that he will guarantee Trump election. But then he turns that on its head and say, no, you will guarantee Trump's reelection.
Right.
Yeah, just because of them being so radical, as Loudmouth has explained. The stakes are too high to cross our fingers and hope the Democratic Party nominates a moderate who can win over enough independents and disaffected Republicans and even fellow Democrats to defeat Trump next year, Schultz wrote in a blog post Monday. That any opponent can oust Trump, no matter how far to the radical left they are, is a fallacy. I don't know if it's okay. Maybe I'm like thinking the wrong type of fallacy, but I would not necessarily call it a fallacy, I don't know. I'm thinking that too much. Those so concerned about a centrist independent being a spoiler should perhaps ask another question. Will the eventual Democratic nominee be the party's own version of a spoiler? Schultz wrote.
It seems very likely given the people they're running.
Yeah, and it's kind of a point that S-Man has always consistently made about Republicans as well. I mean, looking at this on the flip side, is saying that maybe Republicans should re-observe their own policies in some areas if they don't want to lose to these, or if they don't want to be like damaged by these right-wing third-party candidates running, or more right-wing anyways. And that, like, I would not call Gary Johnson full right-wing exactly, but yeah. It's more like a fence-shitting centrist, if anything. Anyway, Schultz has been criticized since he announced last month that he was. I just want to annotate that I might be butchering what exactly S-Man said in regards to that, but anyway, Schultz has been criticized since he announced last month that he was considering running as a third-party candidate. The billionaire reiterated that he won't run if he sees himself as a spoiler, but said he sees a potential path to the White House for a centrist independent. Yeah, here's the thing. The way that the Electoral College works, I mean, if nobody gets a majority, then the House of Representatives will vote on who becomes president. And is there a chance that the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives will vote for Howard Schultz over whoever the Democratic nominee is for president?
Not a chance.
Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical of that myself. So, Howard Schultz, what you're proposing or what you're implying right here is kind of a long shot. I hear and respect this overriding concern and have repeatedly promised that I will not be a spoiler. Excuse me as I'm kind of choking on that bit of bull. But not that there's anything wrong with being a spoiler necessarily. Just saying. I am committed to ensuring that I will do nothing to re-elect Donald Trump. I mean it, he wrote. In the coming weeks, he said he plans to share his vision on how a centrist independent would lead the country. End of article. And yeah.
Okay. That article, by contrast, was pretty boring.
Yeah. By contrast to this one.
Yeah, that one is just fucking sick and disturbing.
Well,
I don't know.
I guess I'll flip it around and we can look at this one first, just to look at some more entertaining madness.
Yeah, this one seems kind of funny because one it reminds me of. Do you ever watch the show? This is from almost a decade ago now, The Good Family.
I haven't. I don't think I have. No.
It was by Mike Judge. It was an animated series that didn't last very long. It only lasted like 13 episodes, but it featured this very, very far left-wing family, and it would kind of follow them and their constant attempts to be as politically correct as possible, and that was the source of the comedy. It was actually pretty clever at times, and one scene that's really funny is they have this black neighbor, and kind of shows that in their attempts to be as politically correct as possible, they're accidentally insulting the guy.
Are you sure you're not? Are you sure you're not explaining to me Last Man Standing, the Tim Allen series? No, I'm joking, but it almost sounds a little bit reminiscent of that right-leaning comedy, essentially.
Yeah, it is definitely right-leaning. Like I said, it's by Mike Judge, the same guy who made Idiocracy.
Oh, well, Idiocracy, I don't think had a slant either way necessarily.
Oh, no, you saw my video on it. I do think it did kind of have a right-wing slant for a few reasons. They're just very subtle.
All right. Brandon Paget says in the chat, Republicans need to give up on the drug war like they did with gay marriage. I agree, Brandon. Although
I 100% endorse.
Yeah, although not many Republicans are really outspoken for the drug war. The only one that I can really name offhand is Jeff Sessions. But even even with him, it's more like actions than words. But like the good old saying goes, actions speak louder than words. And Jeff Sessions is definitely one of those who are pretty much pro-drug war.
Yeah.
Obsessively anti-weed. But yeah. So wrapping up my final thoughts on this article, though, as I kind of wanted to say, I mean, it would seem like a high probability that if Democrats were to lose the White House, that it would be their own fault more than it would be Howard Schultz's fault. Because if you are a quality candidate, spoilers or third-party candidates will not hardly faze you. Like, for example, when Ronald Reagan ran in 1980, there was a third-party candidate named John Edwards. And I think, if I remember correctly, actually, no, I'm pretty sure this is a fact, actually, that he ran in the primaries of that year. Like, it was him versus Ronald Reagan versus George H.W. Bush. And then John Edwards decided to run as a third-party candidate, and yet he didn't hardly faze Ronald Reagan's win. So that goes to show how high quality Ronald Reagan was in the eyes of the voting public at the time. So I would, apply the logic right there. So anyway, getting on with this bit of humorous stuff right here. White liberals present themselves as less competent in interactions with African Americans. This from Yale.edu. I don't think that this article is really the most right-leaning of thing, but it's still an interesting read. I think I've read through this at least once, but anyway, here we go. A new study suggests that white Americans who hold liberal socio-political views use language that makes them appear less competent in an effort to get along with racial minorities. In other words, it's forced. Seemingly. Their supposed tolerance is forced. Racial bias can put people of color at a disadvantage when interviewing for a job, buying a house, or interacting with the police. See, that's where the kind of left-leaning slant comes from with this bit of writings right here. New research suggests that bias may also shape daily interactions between racial minorities and white people, even those whites who tend to be less biased.
There's an inherent assumption that leftists are less biased, which is bullshit.
Right. Actually, you know cultural boomers, right, Taylor?
Cultural boomers. It rings a bell.
He's the one guy that you first had an argument with.
That
Israel.
guy. Yeah.
Interesting thing from him. He almost seems to speak of how he's more annoyed by liberals, by left liberals, than he is by conservatives, because left liberals try too hard when ultimately it just, their rhetoric does not come to fruition to be any truly racially tolerant policy or something along those lines. Anyway, I actually had an interview with him. You'd have to like check out to see what he himself says. Brandon Paget says in the chat, Taylor is my boyfriend. Oh, God. Brandon. According to new research by Sidney Dupree, assistant professor of organizational behavior at Yale SOM, white liberals tend to downplay their own verbal competence in exchanges with racial minorities compared to how other white Americans act in such exchanges. The study is scheduled for publication in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, which, I don't know. I was about to say it almost sounds like a practically pointless study, but I guess might have some purpose. But anyway. While many previous studies have examined how people who hold racial bias behave in multiracial settings, few have studied how whites who are more well-intentioned interact with people of other races. There's less work. There's less work that explores how well-intentioned whites try to get along with racial minorities, Dupree says. We wanted to know their strategies for increasing connections between members of different social groups and how effective these strategies are. Okay. Dupree and her co-author, Susan Fisk of Princeton University, began by analyzing the words used in campaign speeches delivered by Democratic and Republican presidential candidates to different audiences over the years. They scanned 74 speeches delivered by white candidates over a 25-year period. Yada, yada, yada. Approximately half were... I don't know. I'm trying to like get down to where the real funny stuff is. Approximately half were addressed to mostly minority audiences at a Hispanic small business roundtable discussion or a black church, for example. They then paired each speech delivered to a mostly minority audience with a comparable speech delivered at a mostly white audience, at a mostly white church or university, for example. The researchers analyzed the text of these speeches for two measures: words related to competence, that is, words about ability or status, such as assertive or competitive, and words related to warmth, that is, words about friendliness, such as supportive and compassionate. Warmth related to intentions towards others, and competence related to the ability to carry out those intentions are two fundamental dimensions of how we see others and portray ourselves in social interactions. Stereotypical portrayals of Black Americans generally show them as being less competent than their white counterparts, but not necessarily less friendly or warm, Dupree explains. All right, here we go. The team found that Democratic candidates used fewer competence-related words and speeches delivered to mostly minority audiences than they did in speeches delivered to mostly white audiences. The difference wasn't statistically significant in speeches by Republican candidates, though it was harder to find speeches from Republicans delivered to minority audiences. Oh boy. Is it really? Is it really?
Not really at all.
I kind of doubt that. Would have to like actually see some stats on that to see if how much Republicans or Republican voters, anyways, interact with minorities. But anyway, to convince me on that. Dupree notes there was no difference in Democrats or Republicans' usage of words related to warmth. It was really surprising to see that for nearly 3 decades, Democratic presidential candidates have been engaging in this predictive behavior. He says no difference in Democrats or Republicans' usage of words related to warmth. Okay. So I find that to essentially, okay. I don't know about you, Loudmouth, but I find that statement right there to almost imply that there's no real difference in how much people use racial slurs at minorities. The difference between white Democrats and white Republicans.
I can believe that.
Yep. With this preliminary evidence in hand, the researchers set out to further test their ideas. They designed a series of experiments in which white participants were asked to respond to a hypothetical or presumed real interaction partner. For half of these participants, their partner was given a stereotypically white name, such as Emily. For the other half, their partner was given a stereotypically black name, such as Lakeisha. Participants were asked to select from a list of words for an email to their partner. For some studies, this email was for a work-related task. For others, this email was simply to introduce themselves. Each word had been previously scored on how warm or competent it appears. The word sad, for example, scored low for both warmth and competence. Melancholy, on the other hand, scored high for competence and low on warmth. Right, because you're using a big fancy word right there. Participant also completed a variety of measures that assessed how liberal they were. The researchers found that liberal individuals were less likely to use words that would make them appear highly competent when the person they were addressing was presumed to be black rather than white. No significant differences were seen in the word selection of conservatives based on the presumed race of their partner. It was kind of an unpleasant surprise to see this subtle but persistent effect, Dupree says. Even if it's ultimately well-intentioned, it could be seen as patronizing. Dupree and Fisk suspect that the behavior stems from a liberal person's desire to connect with other races. Possible reason for the competence downshift, as the authors describe it, is that regardless of race, people tend to downplay their competence when they want to appear likable and friendly. But it's also possible that this is happening because people are using common stereotypes in an effort to get along, Dupree says. In other words, you're fumbling over your own interactions with them. You know, that kind of reminds me. How much of Last Man Standing have you seen, Loudmouth?
Last Man Standing?
Yeah, the series by Tim Allen.
I don't know if I've ever watched a single episode.
Oh, well, it's kind of funny because this reminded me of this one character dynamic of how the wife, Mrs. Baxter, which is the wife of Tim Allen's character, Mike Baxter. So Mrs. Baxter cannot get along with the black neighbors. They get like some new neighbors who are, yes, they're black, and she tries too hard to get along with them to try to avoid stereotyping them or inadvertently stereotyping them, but she ends up inadvertently stereotyping them anyways. So it just kind of falls flat on its face. Whereas Mike Baxter doesn't really give a shit, so therefore there's none of that social awkwardness, that real social awkwardness.
Right.
Mike Baxter is like a little bit more conservative than his own wife.
Yep. I get that. Like with me, I just don't give a fuck, so I probably get along much better despite my autism.
Right. Although you don't as so much give a although you don't so much as don't give a fuck in the manner of saying racial stereotypes. You just don't give a fuck when you go talking about facts. Like, say, for example, black people are overrepresented in homicide rates, something like that.
Well, yeah, that's undeniably true, but it's just a fact, you know.
Excuse me for a moment there. Initial data from follow-up studies suggest that describing a black person as highly intelligent, thus reversing the stereotype, or as already highly motivated to get along with whites. That's funny. Okay, I do not know if they were trying to connect that to be against the stereotype, but as far as I know, at least here in Kansas anyway, black people that I typically meet, they are full on willing to get along with their white counterparts. So I don't know what that's about. Thus, removing the need to prove goodwill can reduce the likelihood that a white person will downplay their competence in their interactions with the black person. Now, Dupree is working to understand how these behaviors play out in a real world organizations. For example, whether medical professionals engage in this behavior when interacting with minority patients and how corporate executives present themselves to minority peers. She is also testing the efficacy of this possibly strategic behavior. For example, do black receivers of white liberals' competence downshift see this behavior as demeaning or endearing? There's a lot of research focused on biased individuals and how holding bias, especially implicit bias, can influence social interactions, Dupree says, but that leaves a lot of people out. My hope is that this work will help include well-intentioned people who see themselves as allies, but who may be unwittingly contributing to group divides. There is a broader need to include them in the conversation. Yeah, they go mentioning implicit bias. Like, I know that Tildeer has like made some pieces talking about implicit bias, of how it's like trivial and bullcrap. And by the way, that's the end of the article. But
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, when you go talking about, when far leftists go talking about implicit bias or something like that, I'm just thinking to myself, that's just you trying to psychoanalyze, trying to be a mind reader, when really you're not Professor Xavier. Sorry to spoil your fun. You were saying there, Loudmouth?
Yeah. No, I'm kind of dozing off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, guess I'll talk to you later.
Oh. Okay, he left. Sorry to abort you, Loudmouth. My bad. Not the most exciting stream, I know, but I was in the mood for a live stream nonetheless. I was really in the mood to go talking to freaking esoteric entity. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to join on a live stream today. So therefore, I thought I'm still in the mood for a live stream, so why not do a news stream? But this turned out to be a rather kind of a boring news stream. Especially too boring for Buddy Loudmouth. Brandon says in the chat, what is your opinion on a climate change awareness group that spilled buckets of blood on the street? What? Let me see this shit. Excuse me. So this is from Sky News, which I don't know. I don't know so much about the reputation of Sky News. So looking at this here, I'm gonna pull this over here. Actually, no, come on. Oh, I forgot. I'm using Google Chrome for this, and then there's I'm using Firefox for this. 1 second. I'm gonna copy the link, and then there we are. It's now pulled up on Mozilla Firefox. All right. Extinction Rebellion protesters throw buckets of blood outside Downing Street to make the severity of climate change viscerally clear. Okay. This looks ridiculous. I think I'm going to like go ahead and react to this since we're on this subject right now. 1 second. Turn up the volume. And hello?
Hey, Darkon, it's me.
Oh, what's up, SB? Been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Nothing much. I was just sitting in here. I was about to start eating dinner, but I decided to come in for like a few minutes.
All right, that's cool. By the way, kind of, you know the one article that you shared? I already read it like at the beginning of this stream, but had you read the article yourself?
No, I haven't. I think I read like a little bit of it, but I didn't read the whole thing. Was it as sick as you think? Was it as was it? It's yeah, it was pretty sick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. I mean, the killer was being a psychopath, was having a shit ton of cognitive dissonance, and just overall being a complete and utter idiotic psycho bitch.
Florida woman.
Oh, well, Florida women. Brandon, how are all the women that you go running across down there? No, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, I only hear about how sick Florida can get. I mean, even Brandon goes mentioning as to how there's like one city in particular. I think he might have said that it was Orlando. I'm not so sure. He can correct me in the chat if he wants to, but he said that there was a city of where that it's pretty. One of the cities in Florida is pretty reminiscent for, or pretty well known for its pedophiles.
Yeah. I can understand. Yeah, that is some weird stuff. I can't imagine a pedophile city. That's sick.
To answer Brandon's question, yeah, this story in particular was in Orlando, but no, the thing that I was trying to mention about Orlando was I thought you said that in Orlando there's a crap ton of pedophiles there, like it has the most pedophiles in all of Florida or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in that, Brandon, in the chat, please. But anyway, as I was kind of wanting to say about this article, so she goes saying that the reason for why that she was stabbing her child the reason why she wanted to kill her was to prevent her from having sex ultimately. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you're like a religious fundamentalist who really, really, really doesn't want your kid to have sex, I mean, religious fundamentalists, they'll go to like far extremes, like lock their kid up in their room long before they ever plan on killing them. So
why would you want to stop your kid from having? I mean, it has to. If at the most you gotta keep them abstinent until they're married. Once they get married, it's completely more. I don't know. If anything, you'd think Christians would be in favor of it because it's technically a gift from God. Essentially, sex is. I mean, within controlled environments, within marriage, I think it's a beautiful thing. But why religious people like this think sex is a bad thing makes no sense to me. Except, it's I mean, if once she grew up, got married, and everything, it's just like, who cares? As long as it's a good guy, it's whatever. I don't think it was her religion. I just think she was just crazy.
yeah, I mean, to just annotate to everybody, I do not. There was nothing said in this article about there being any religious motivation behind it, but I'm just saying that you compare this to religious fundamentalists who would be wanting to prevent their kids from having sex, and I'm not so sure as to what exactly the intent was of the mom. If she was wanting to like prevent the kid from having sex, period, or if she was just wanting to prevent the kid from having sex before she grew up. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's some sick shit.
She took the body to the hospital.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't make sense. She supposedly wanted to cover her tracks, and yet she goes admitting to the haters, "Yeah, I killed my own kid," and takes her to a hospital, which is why I say she's got some major cognitive dissonance. So, addressing the chat here a little bit, hello, Ghost Entertainment. And Brandon says in reassurance regarding Orlando, there is a lot of sex offenders that did crimes against children. I don't know if Orlando has the most pedophiles. All right, thanks for saying that, Brandon, and informing us and just enlightening us of our own ignorance. Slavey McSlaverson says, yeah, mental issues being used to paint religion in a bad light. Yeah, I mean, it might be my fault that I kind of brought up religion and kind of coming out of left field, although I wasn't meaning to tie this to religion or anything like that. It's rare for Christians to go full muzzle anyway.
Yeah, if it was like a Muslim woman, I would have been like, yeah. I would have been like, maybe. I'd have been like, yeah, I could probably expect this just a little bit more, but.
Oh, he says it's rare for Christians to go full muzzy. I thought he said muzzle for a second there, like putting a
Oh,
muzzle.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. My man, when I first mentioned it to my father, he thought it was a Muslim.
Right.
Yeah.
Either way, but ultimately it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Nope. Pause. Okay. This woman is just insane, says Brandon. Yep, that's my thoughts exactly. So if anybody watching this in the chat right now wants to see my raw reaction to the story, like watch this stream after it's done from the beginning. That's when I'm like reading the article. I'm not going to reread the article because I've already read it once during the stream. Just wanted to like get Aspie's take on it as well, since he was the one that shared the article. But anyway, so this was shared by Brandon in the live chat right here. Extinction Rebellion protesters throw buckets of blood outside Downing Street to make the severity of climate change viscerally clear. For more stories like this one, visit post blah blah. There's a link, but let's take a look at this. I mean, I kind of doubt that it's actual blood. I mean, especially since Sky News puts blood in quotations.
Yeah. Probably pain.
Oh yeah, you're giving the pavement a paint job. That's nice. I mean, I think it helps brighten up the mood of the streets just a little bit. I mean,
Hopefully they use biodegradable paint. Eco-friendly paint or something, you know.
oh, that actually, you know what? That is a good point, because if they did not use biodegradable paint, well, then in that case, ironically, they are causing harm to the environment, when that is exactly what they're trying to protest for. Further thought into the story right here, I just realized of how fucking stupid this is. If that is like regular plain lead paint, well then these enviro protesters, they are ironically polluting the environment with this. Wow.
That is so true.
All right. So Ghost Entertainment says, what the fuck, what is wrong with people? And Slavey says, looks like all Whammon's protesters. And says, hashtag morons. Brandon is laughing in the chat. Slavey says, I've learned my lesson. Gonna go turn off my lights and burn my car. And Ghost Entertainment says, it looks like fake blood to me. Yeah, I mean, that's what I suspected from the beginning as well. Let's
I'm surprised it's not a bunch of feminists, you know, screaming about their periods.
And then dumping all their own period blood on the streets.
That would actually be highly illegal, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you'd be contaminating the scene.
Okay, so anyway, I'm probably going to like look into the actual article of this after we're done looking at this video.
I should be disgusted by this because it's not okay. This is the blood of my children, of your children, and of the young people here today who are here now. We need to take action. We don't have much time left, but I do think it's possible.
Us, and only us, to change things. We are the final frontier, if you will.
The final frontier. What are you, fucking Jean-Luc Picard, and this is Star Trek? I'm sorry. Okay, so never mind. That link right there just brought us to the main page of Sky News. It did not bring us to an article of that particular video. But anyway, I do not know for absolute certain if it was biodegradable paint or not. But if it wasn't biodegradable paint, well, then they are being absolutely self-defeating and contradictory with their own method of protest.
Yeah. Also, if these people want to truly help. I want to know how much they've given to to innovators and entrepreneurs who are trying to develop green technology, like new forms of energy, like hydrogen powered vehicles and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or more efficient forms of green energy. They might have. I'm not gonna. But if they haven't, they're complete hypocrites. They're just out here the virtue signal about the climate, which is kind of a waste of time. All they're doing is.
Okay, so Brandon kind of wanted me to scroll down there. I guess he just wanted me to see this. He says, "Hell yeah," with yeah, all that edgy Brandon, classic edge. Was most okay?
We get it, Brandon. You like Satan.
Snowflakes, a lot of them. Just look at them, not in my name. Okay. Anyway. I want to like give some commentary regarding climate change. Like, most of the solutions when it comes to climate change is more of along the lines of government coercion. I agree with what Aspie just said there, saying that people should like donate to innovation, like voluntarily donate to people trying to bring out innovative technologies and so on and so forth, rather than using government force to like tax the crap out of people or even ban entire industries that is vital to people's economy and so on and so forth. And even if, and but that aside, I am not so pessimistic. I mean, I'm not in denial of climate change. Like, I think it is possible for man-made climate change to be a thing. But I am ultimately not of the pessimistic, we are all going to die within the next 10, 20 years about climate change. Like, I'm not a pessimist about that or overpopulation. Heck, I don't even buy into, like, most of the Revelations predictions that Christian Illuminati conspiracy theorists like to put out there about how, in 2011 the end times is coming and so on and so forth. I don't even believe those claims. So all those people that make these doom and gloom predictions, I don't buy a lot of them.
I remember a lot of times the Mesopotamian Armageddon was supposed to take place on December 25th, 2012, and it didn't happen.
Right? But anyway, so the point that I'm trying to get to is that even taking into account the possibility that we will fuck ourselves over via climate change, I would still rather die by my own liberty than live under your own tyranny.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
All right.
Move on.
Yes, I think pretty much said what I needed to with that. And Brandon said something about the blood moon or something in the chat there, but then he retracted his own message right there.
Must have been too far, or YouTube might have shut it down.
I don't know. The world was supposed to end after the last blood moon, says Brandon. Well, here's the thing. I mean, kind of going off on a tangent right here regarding Christianity. The prophecy says that there has to be a blood moon and a black sun at the same time. As far as, yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
The blood moon was actually it was a normal. It happens every 50 years. It would be another. I think there has to be like a. I really don't. I haven't researched Revelation enough, but I'm sure there's plenty of
Yeah.
scholarly literature about that section of the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like when my family used to do home Bible study that we like read the entire book of Revelations. I do not remember like half of what exactly was read during them Bible studies, but I can at least remember that the prophecy was that there is going to be like a black sun and a red moon at the same time to show the sign that, yes, this is the end times, and that hasn't happened yet. I mean, we might have had plenty of black suns and red moons, but not at the same time. So, anyway, Larry, this is from Washington Examiner. Continuing on with election news, like 2020 election news. Larry Hogan, the chance of Trump losing a general election in 2020 is pretty good. All right. So this is kind of looking on the flip side of what Howard Schultz was saying, because Howard Schultz was all like, if Democrats lose, it'll be because of themselves. But then you have Larry Hogan here, a Republican from Maryland, saying it is likely that Trump is going to lose. But anyway, Republican, what?
Even if he loses, I don't think it's the end of times. With the way the Democrats are going, people are going. Or some people predict there may be a civil war in like the next couple of years. I don't know how long it'll be, but because everybody's so politically polarized, I don't think it'll be like a north-south type of civil war, but I do think there'll definitely be a lot of chaos in the next coming years.
It'll be the Midwest and the South versus the West Coast and the Northeast.
Yeah, we got all the guns, so hallelujah.
Slavey McSlaverson says in the chat, Trump's going to lose. He's nothing without social media, and his base has been all but kicked off social media. Okay. If that's supposed to be like a joke there, I don't get the punchline. Ghost Entertainment says in the chat, people just too dramatic. I guess so. I mean, with the end times and other pessimistic end of world prophecies. Anyway, Republican Maryland Governor Larry Hogan predicted Tuesday President Trump may struggle to win re-election in 2020. That's strange. The opening paragraph of this is kind of okay. Never mind. It's not completely contradictory. Moving on. The issue I'm concerned about is he has a very low re-elect number. I think in the 30s, high 30s, low 40s. So the chance of him losing a general election are pretty good. I'm not saying he couldn't win, but he's pretty weak in the general election. Hogan told CBS News in an interview set to air in full Wednesday. At some point, if he weakens further, Republicans would say we're concerned about whether or not he's going to win. If we're going to face a very far-left Democratic nominee, and is he going to take the rest of us down with him if you're an elected official, he said. Scrolling down. CBS this morning. Ed O'Keefe speaks to Maryland at Governor Larry Hogan about President Trump, the future of the GOP, and whether he might challenge the president in 2020. All right. Well, you already have Bill Weld trying to primary Trump, so I do not see that being much of a possibility, especially if you're going to have like a three-way primary race. So anyway, Hogan, who won the Maryland governor's mansion in 2015, and former Ohio Governor John Kasich are frequently mentioned potential 2020 primary challengers to Trump. But Hogan on Tuesday expressed doubt that Trump would be vulnerable to a primary. Yeah. I'm getting some reverb there, Aspie. Okay. Brandon says in the chat, socialist man speaks. Why are you saying that, Brandon? So anyway, to expound on what was said there in that article, I actually recall from S-Man's recent episode of S-Man Live that he actually, I think it might have been the episode before that. Yeah, it was the episode before that. It was a couple episodes ago. He actually read an article that was talking about how people that typically try to challenge incumbent presidents in the primaries, they end up doing nothing but just damaging that incumbent president and sinking their chances, absolutely destroying their own chances of getting re-election because the primary challenger just damaged the incumbent president so dang much, and they end up not winning. The primary challengers end up not winning. Like, for example, there was Gerald Ford, that was who it was. Gerald Ford being challenged by Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan lost against Gerald Ford, but then Gerald Ford lost against Jimmy Carter in the general election. And essentially, the article that S-Man Speaks was reading, they also mentioned a couple of other examples of incumbent presidents being challenged in the primary. But what the article and what S-Man were essentially saying was that history might repeat itself, that if Bill Weld or anyone else was to challenge Donald Trump in the presidential primaries this election cycle, that it will most likely do nothing except damage Trump's own chances. Like, the candidates themselves will not win against Trump in the primary, but Trump will lose again, will be guaranteed, almost guaranteed to lose against the Democrat in the general election. And Brandon says in the chat that his comment there was a joke. All right.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders will become president, and then it'll be time for the fascist takeover.
The fascist socialist takeover. Is that what you're meaning? Or you mean?
I was joking. I was joking anyway.
Okay, I see. I guess I missed the punchline, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not good at comedy. Remember that.
Yeah, not the absolute best, but you'll always still have more of a sense of humor than Owen Cunt Donald.
Exactly. Owen McDonald is an absolute jackass.
He's a fucking liar, is what he is.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing some of my recent dramas with him? By the way.
No, I haven't. What happened? What's been going on between you two?
Well, I made a few videos about it. That he's basically strawmanning my abortion positions and strawmanning and smearing a whole bunch of my other positions and just my character in general. And he's doubling down and tripling down on his own strawman of my abortion positions. Even though I've explained plenty of times as to how his strawmen are false. He still insists that they're true, though, which that just makes him a fucking liar at this point. If you're going to
is a straw man. Is
what?
It the idea? Is the idea that if you're against abortion, you're against bodily autonomy? Is that
Exactly. I tried to explain how if you're going to state that a person is anti-bodily autonomy, you are saying that they are against the general principle of bodily autonomy. That would mean that I would be against trans rights and that, people can get their transgender procedures. Transgender procedures, drug rights, shooting drugs in their own systems, and body modifications like boob jobs, butt injections, stuff like that. Piercings, stabbing yourself like an edgy emo kid, just anything along those lines. If you say that I'm against bodily autonomy, then you say that I am against all those things, which that is just outright false. Even in the case of abortion, I am not against the woman's bodily autonomy. I am for the unborn fetus's bodily autonomy.
Exactly. And the thing is, you can't. There's the one thing that they just deny is that they say that that's a woman, that a baby, when a baby is in a woman's womb, that's a part of her body. Technically, I don't think that's true. While the baby is dependent on the mother's body, the thing is that it's also a woman. Is that's a life, so it's a body growing inside of her body.
You go mentioning that argument that some people made, but Owen didn't even make that argument. He made an even more insane argument against me when I debated him in early February. And guess what he said? What? He said that unborn babies are not alive and are not human.
Jeez, talk about denial.
Yeah, biology denial. Like it's okay if we can disagree. It's okay for us to disagree on the issue of abortion. Like, for example, me and Brandon, me and S-Man, me and Lapis even. I disagree with all three of them on abortion, but at least they don't go to the extent that Owen does of playing biology denial and freaking smearing my beliefs about the issue, whereas that's the only tactic that Owen goes for. It just makes me sick.
Um,
Owen is
Sometimes I-
annoying. So
sometimes- sometimes I don't
sorry,
even
go.
think. Sometimes I don't even think we should even debate Owen because we all know what he's like. I mean, he's mostly a lol cow. He's not anything to be taken seriously. I mean, he has no power.
Yeah.
He's pretty much just a poor black English communist living off the margins and just being, a typical communist, a worthless member of society. Well, I don't even know what he does. I don't even know what he does anyway.
Right. So Ghost Entertainment says in the chat, Owen is annoying. He also confused me. Brandon also says, I've been working on a video for the past 2 days defending you on abortion. Oh. Well, gee, thanks, Brandon. I will definitely see that video the first moment that I see it is uploaded. And Slavey McSlaverson says in the chat, was that a debate on Dapperton's channel? I think I've seen that. No, I mean, I can only wish. I can only wish that I would love to like be put on that big a channel debating Owen on abortion with the moderator on Dapperton's channel. He would not get away with half of the shit that he tries to pull. Also, I want to say that the debate against Owen, it was also in large part about Bacongate and, Ham calling him the forbidden word.
The forbidden word. I can see. I know.
Yeah,
Which one?
Nice.
Nice.
No, you know which one it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I
it was-
know. It's. No, I'm not gonna say it. Nah.
It was about that and racism in general, and it was about jokes. A large part of it was about him just asking, why is this funny? When really, I have no solid answer as to why a person can find something funny. I don't know, and he doesn't like that answer.
I'm sure there's a lot of scholarly research you can find on that subject. Why
Yeah, but I don't care enough.
Well, humor is highly subjective. I mean,
Yeah.
if it pertains to people, laugh about stuff that pertains to them. That's why a lot of comedians, when they go to towns, they make jokes about the local neighborhood because they'll excuse me, they'll make joke because that's what people find funny. They'll laugh about things about their neighborhood which they know about. Also things that pertain to their life, and that's why I don't like political comedians. Political comedians, they're only funny to one half of the room,
Right.
usually the left side of the room. While I mean, it's hard to be a political comedian be funny to everyone. While if you just make stories about life in general, it's easy to be funny to everyone.
All right. I'm going to continue this article because we only have 3 paragraphs left, and then we'll continue on with this conversation because we went off on a big side tangent. Anyway, he has 70 or 80%. Some percent of Republican primary voters say they support the president, he said. So I don't know what it's going to look like down the road. Today, it would be very difficult. Nobody has successfully challenged a sitting president in the same party in a primary since 1884. Wow.
Dang.
Republican ex-Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld last week announced that he had formed a committee to explore a presidential bid against Trump. I'm here because our country is in grave peril, and I cannot sit quietly on the sidelines any longer, Weld said in New Hampshire. End of article. Yeah, I have no further comment on that story. I pretty much said my piece. But anyway, stop presenting. And yeah. So was there something more that you were wanting to say on abortion or Owen or whatever right there?
No, I'm pretty much finished my opinion. I mean, it's kind of simple. My opinion of abortion is rather simple, to be honest with you. It's simple. It's murder, and I don't think it should be done.
Right.
I don't really know what else to say.
I mean, if somebody was to put a generalization of my beliefs, well, then that would be the description of my beliefs as well. But then we'll get into conversation, and then I'll start explaining the nuances of my abortion belief. But in all reality, my abortion beliefs are not as simple as that simple statement. But anyway, so I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, Slavey McSlaverson. In further comment to your chat comment saying, was that a debate on Dapperton's channel? I think I seen that. No, that abortion debate on Daps's channel, that was freaking Shane Killian versus Shane Killian teaming up with Liberal Sanity Project up against this one girl named Shiny, and I can't remember who her debating partner was on abortion. Shiny was pro-life, and then with her partner, and then of course Liberal Sanity Project and Shane Killian, they were like on the pro-choice side. But no, I did not participate in that debate. The debate that I actually re-uploaded it on this channel. I have both uploaded a video showing the highlights of the abortion portion of that stream. It's titled Dark Con Curb Stomps Pro-Abortion Extremist, referring to Owen. And then I have like the full debate also re-uploaded on my own channel. If you want to like check out both of those videos for yourself, Slavey. But yeah. Ghost Entertainment says people has different type of humor. My humor is kind of dark. Yeah. Slavey McSlaverson says, anyway, later, dudes. I'm out. See you later, Slavey. Thank you for participating in the chat. He says taxation is theft and abortion is murder. Yeah. Brandon also says it should be done on Friday or Saturday. He's Saturday, referring to the video that he said that he's going to be making in defense of me. Well, like I said, I'll definitely watch it, Brandon. Cool beans.
Where does he? What channel does he upload his videos to? Because I've never seen these videos he talks about.
The videos that he talks about, Brandon?
That he says he makes and uploads.
I'll have to like send you a link to his channel or channels because he runs two primarily. Brandon Paget is his main channel where he goes talking about more serious issues, and then his secondary channel, which is called Josso Titties, which was originally a parody account of a certain somebody that I don't want to talk about, but then it just became like a general entertainment and drama channel.
Love and tragedy. All right, we're done.
Oh god. I am going to be honest, Aspie, that I was kind of disappointed to see that recent upload was a reaction video to his music video.
You can say Josselman. It's not Voldemort.
Yeah, I know. It's he who shall not be mentioned, but yeah. I mean, I just think that he should be an issue left irrelevant, and plus, there's also the fact that I don't know. It just seemed like I was kind of disappointed that after all the wait that was what we got.
So you've been waiting? So you're waiting for me to do another upload and you're disappointed that it was that?
Yeah, I mean, I like your political commentaries, dude. I mean, I like the cringe choir response video for one. I liked your commentary on the skeptic community.
Yeah, really?
And don't get me wrong, I like the first reaction video to Josselman, but that reaction was like legitimately funny, and his video, I say, is like legitimately funny. But this one, it just seemed a little bit more bland and pointless. And plus, the last one, the one before this recent one that you uploaded, it was a little bit more relevant because Josh was like in the middle of dishing drama with us, whereas now we're trying to get him out of our minds, and yet you make that video.
All right, I get your point. It was made at a better time.
Yeah, the first one was made had better timing. The second one was all like, "Oh, dude, why?"
Yeah, I gotta say, I just thought it would be a funny thing to make. Luckily, I'm surprised it didn't get any traction. I posted this video to like many different cringe Reddits and nothing.
Well, honestly, I'm not that surprised. But
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, it's bad, but I've seen worse.
Yep. Probably going to wrap up this stream here soon. What were you saying?
Oh, nothing. You're gonna wrap it up now?
Pretty soon. I mean, I have no other articles that I want to read, and plus I have dinner that I want to eat, and I want to get editing some more of my collab response video with Loudmouth. I've been procrastinating enough on that project as it already is. Yeah.
I see.
I mean,
Alright.
although I do got a question just out of curiosity, like, what is the most recent content of mine that you had watched?
Oh, I've been just sort of busy at school, so I haven't been able to watch anybody's video. Although I did manage to watch the entire like 2 years ago that entire video where you responded to that debate between me and Owen McDonald. I was expecting him to be bad, but I wasn't expecting him to be that. Expecting
Oh,
bad.
wait, you're talking about the 10-minute video titled Owen McDonald Has Zero Credibility?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, you only just recently watched it.
No,
Okay.
I watched it a while. I watched the whole thing a while ago.
Oh.
Then there was the bearing video.
Oh, yeah. I like that drama review because it felt so uplifting because it was a shitty drama, but ultimately it ended off on a bright note.
Yeah. I haven't talked to Bearing in a long time. I haven't been able to since my Twitter was deleted for for poking the bear William Shatner.
Yeah. Wait. Your Twitter got deleted recently again?
No.
No. Oh, never mind.
No.
You're still posting in private group chats.
The other one, @incred _Aspie was deleted a long time ago.
Right, I know. But excuse my dumb ass.
All right, I'm gonna head off now. It was nice talking to you, Zach.
Yeah, nice catching up. Join more.
All right, I will. When I
See you
can.
later.
Bye. Stop by.
All right, so there goes off SB, and so yeah, I'm going to end the stream right here. No more activity in the chat there. And Brandon, like I said, I am looking forward to that defense video. The video of Brandon White knighting for the Dark Conservatarian. No, I'm joking. But yeah. So as always, to you all, see you later. God bless. See you next time.